Styles here with RxMuscle.com. We're here in Madrid, Spain, one more time, 3 years in a row. Chris Aceto, myself, and we just wrapped up. Well, it's amazing. Dexter Jackson wins the Arnold Classic, but we're going to start off with William Bonac. What do you thought of William Bonac?
Well, first of all, I thought the show was a great show. It was sold out. Every year we come, there's more and more people here. There's more booth space. William Bonac, I thought the judging was pretty spot on. William Bonac, when he comes out by himself, he's a sight to behold. He just kind of gets a little bit lost when you stick him next to Rollie, who's bigger, wider, and let's say, a Rami. So, he lands in sixth place. He was in great condition. He was full. Right now, it's like he's maximizing everything he's got. You know what I mean? He's packed on as much muscle as he possibly can without appearing blocky. He just looks, he's tremendous. He just looks a little bit on the, out of place side, shorter side.
Very dense muscle.
Very dense, thick muscle.
And then we have Rollie Winkler coming in, driving the fans crazy with his most muscular.
Rollie's issue here was that he was flat. His legs have a tendency in multiple shows to get flat. There were other people who have been competing over and over this year. Victor Martinez was flat. Juan Morel was flat. These guys who do multiple shows, you think that it's easy, but by the time you get here, after all the, depleting, loading, sodium, all these things, you end up your body doesn't respond. So I think Rollie, as much mass as he carried at the Olympia last week, he didn't have the wow factor that he carried last week. He looked flat when he first came out, and while other guys, tended to hold some of the size that they had last week, you could see it especially in the lower body. It's been an ongoing problem for him, and it hurt him here.
For the first time ever here in Madrid, Spain, Big Ramy shows up looking huge as a house.
Yeah, Ramy, during prejudging, had periods where he looked like, he was really soft, and then periods where he was really hard. And I think that's a fact of his muscle. There's just so much of it. When it contracts, all the bells and whistles light up. But when he relaxes or in the lineup or next to some of the guys with crazy detail, he looks like, that he could use a few more weeks of dieting. That said, I thought at some point during the night show, I thought he'd surpass Wolf, even though he wasn't in the condition Wolf was in, just because he had so much, and when he hit his shots, he looked, quote, tight enough.
Right. And then we gotta say, Ramy, for a 300-pounder, does know how to pose.
Yeah, fabulous posing routine, great presentation. He presents himself like he's been in the sport 20 years, quarter turns, routines, all that. He looks like an experienced guy. He's just, everyone's enamored by his mass and shape, and he's going up against three guys who are coming in like 1, 2, 3 hard.
Defending champion Dennis Wolf couldn't make it here. He places third place.
Yeah, Dennis got rope-a-dope by Dexter. And I really believe that, which means I think Dennis was far fuller at the Olympia. I think that his condition was it was better here, but it probably showed up better under the lights and with the oil on at the Olympia, because I think, he's probably scratching his head thinking, okay, I was tied with Dexter going into the night show at the Olympia, or I think he was ahead of him. Mm-hmm. I'm a bigger guy. I'll still be a bigger guy if I try to really grind it out and suck it down this week. And I think that hurt him. I think the minute he came out, you could see that he didn't have the wow fullness that he did at the Olympia last week. And, the knock on him last week was, although he, had fullness when he first came out, that he could have better conditions. So I think, I don't know, but he probably got bamboozled with Dexter and tried to come down, get super tight, and ended up just flattening out through the pecs and lats.
And the famous coin toss between Dexter Jackson and Sean Dexter and Rhoden. It was a really, really, really close call.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing, obviously, last week is, on the judges' scores at the prejudging, Sean was a deadlock for second on points, and then fell to second by a point going into the finals, and Dexter edged him out second to third by a single point. Here, same thing. They grinded him through, moved him around. And, I'm told, I haven't seen the score sheet, so I asked someone, they said, I think it was a point. So, it's a crucial point. I thought, interestingly, I'll say this about prejudging. I'll say two things about prejudging. People complaining about the lighting, that it sucked. The lighting was actually good. It just sucked in photos. The lighting, it was a very well-lit show. That's one important thing to point out. The other thing to point out is, in prejudging, I had Dexter winning the side chest and back double bicep strongly and losing all the other poses, quote, lightly. So that shoots down the idea that you have to go pose by pose. In other words, I had Sean winning more poses than Dexter. Sean, quote, lightly winning all the poses with the exception of Dexter strongly winning the back double and strongly winning the side chest in prejudging. But there's more to it than that. So I left prejudging thinking, toss a coin. I actually left prejudging thinking Sean
edged him out a little bit.
Edged him out.
Just because in the night show he looked bigger, fuller than the prejudging.
And Sean, I don't know how the scores went. I thought Sean was better tonight than the prejudging, ironically. I just thought he had he was just a bigger package with, equal condition with the exception of the back double bicep. So obviously when it gets down to these, type of physiques, and points are, there's 2 points separating, these two guys in two different shows. It's hard for the athlete, who gets second, Sean. But it's hard for the judges, to figure out who's in first. Having said all that, to summarize the judging, 1 through 6, and this was good lighting, they, worked these guys over and over and over and mixed it up. And I think they were mixing it up not for a show. Here, I thought they were mixing it up to figure out, we better get it right. And I think that's what happened at the end of the day is, you could toss a coin and, it fell in Dexter's favor here. And, it's that close,
Congrats to Dexter Jackson. As he keeps getting older, he keeps looking younger in a way. We got to talk about Oksana Grishina because nowadays going to kill us. So Oksana comes here once again and destroys everybody else.
Yeah, she's at a point really right now where the routine is so dominant. Thank you. That
it's so high intensity, right?
Yeah, it's dominant. It's unique. It's high intensity. It wows the crowd. So even if if you're a judge and you think someone else has a better routine, you better have the cojones, to use a Spanish term, even though we're in Madrid and not Brazil. You better have the cojones to, it's difficult to, when the crowd's so behind her, to vote against her.
Right.
I mean, the crowd really, really gets involved, more so than really any athlete I've seen in the IFBB. So right. She comes out unanimous winner.
Well, that was gonna do it for us here in Madrid, Spain, as Chris gets ready for Prague and the rest of the European tour. For Chris Aceto, this is Johnny Styles from Madrid, Spain, saying adios.